Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's November 25th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And you can see here on the daily chart, a quick look, we had another big bullish day up. We traded down at one time but reversed and closed near the high. So another bullish day with a lot of follow-through buying by the late afternoon. To me, it looks like we're probably headed to retest this high. We're probably a little more, at least halfway there. I would say maybe a little more than halfway. Will we make it? We'll just have to see. But it looks like to me, as I said earlier, we're probably going to retest this high at a minimum. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Remember, tomorrow is Wednesday, or actually Thursday is Thanksgiving. So here in the U.S., Thursday and Friday will be trading holidays, and so tomorrow we'll wrap up our week. Real short week, only a 3-day week this week. So I'll be back again tomorrow. We'll do this one more time tomorrow, and then we'll take off until the following Monday. So anyway, you see what it looks like on the daily. Let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. Take a look at it, and we'll go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. Okay, here it is, and you can see we had what I'd call a V reversal, which is a very strong reversal. Notice how strong that sell-off is. And then we found the bottom, and boom, it went straight back up and took most of it back. It tried to go lower again, and then finally reversed, and we trended up the rest of the day. We had a little bit of a correction here around lunchtime, the 1:30 area, and then we rallied on up to closer to the highs. So, and this is what I'd call a spike and channel up. You could have drawn this as a spike and channel. I ended up drawing it off the first couple of swings. It looked like it was fitting there, but if you drew it off here, you might have looked at it like this. I think you're okay either way, and that would give you the spike and channel. Um, so however you decided you wanted to draw it, I think you come to the same conclusion either way. It doesn't really matter. There was a news item here. This is it's not on here. It's fallen off now. But we did have this. It was retail sales and PPI, I believe is what it was. There were a couple of them that came out right at 7:30, so we blocked that off. But other than that, the rest of the day was wide open. You'll see most of it's all buys. You don't really want to be selling these strong trends, so you'd have to have a really good setup to do that. But let's zoom in here. And you can see prices are just kind of chopping sideways. There's a possibility you might have gone short right there. It is a second entry. It looks like a little congestion where I drew it as a trend, but you might have drawn it simply as congestion right there. And you could trade that as a failed breakout. I would give that a green regardless, and I'd say it's green anyway around. This is just a double bottom, really. I don't think you can count that as a triple test because this all ended at the midline and it didn't get back down there. So to me, that looks like just a double bottom. But there is another test over here. The problem is you're going long right back into that resistance. So I think you skip it regardless. But if you did see that triple test, maybe you take that trade. Uh, Otherwise, you don't get a chance to enter it. You're coming up, close outside new high. I'd wait on the lower high. You could argue maybe there's some resistance up there. Notice too, when we opened here, we had this gap to here. It wasn't a very big one, and we filled that before we did anything else today. So that's usually what will happen. If it's a small gap, they'll fill it real quick, and if it's not, it may have to take all day to fill a gap. And sometimes they won't even fill it. But anyway, prices continued up, close outside new high, and then you got a lower high here. It's also, it looks like two legs back up to a double top, and maybe you even call that a triple top. You can see that there. You might call that a triple test. So uh, maybe you take that trade. Uh, you wouldn't quite have a triple test here. You definitely want to go short here, but here, maybe you give that a green. You got a break at a new high, and it is right where previous resistance was, but it's not a triple test or anything. So this turns out to be the trade of the day. If you take this one trade, probably all you need all day long. and you probably get a runner, and it probably pays you really well. So, of course, you get a break here and several moves to a new low, and then we just reverse. I don't see anything I like all the way up here. Close outside, move to a new high, and then a lower high here. There's a lot of momentum on that move. I don't know if I'd take that first short there. I'd wait on the lower high, and it is also a, I think you can count that as a second entry because this looks like a double bottom. So first entry and then it corrected in second entry. So I think you're taking a second entry short there. Let me zoom in a little bit. And you can see that second entry short, decent signal bar. You might argue there's a reversal here, but I wouldn't take that. Don't go short at the low of that move. And then it runs down. You do get a higher low here. There's not a break in new low of the trend line, but there is a little bit of an overshoot. So there's a good chance you might get two legs back to the EMA here. And maybe it even reverses, but you just don't have enough information to tell you it might reverse. But you still got a lot of room back to the EMA. So maybe you risk that one. I'm looking at it, looks like an overshoot. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just prices are further down here, but they just don't fit really well. They fit better here. And that looks like an overshoot and then a higher low. So I like that higher low. Just try to ride it back to the EMA. And it just keeps going. And again, you get another reversal here, but it's not really where you're looking for a reversal. So just let it go. And then a close outside, move to a new high, turns down. Then we're just chopping sideways. Now notice here you got a new swing high. Then you get a first entry, a second entry. There's a triple test across there. Nice signal bar. I like going long there. Quick, easy scalp. Nothing much more. I did not mark this short, but you could take that. You could even argue for that to be red. It's a really big bar, but there's, as long as there's room to get out, I'm pretty sure there's room to get out there. I don't know why I didn't have that marked at least green. Yeah, see, there's plenty of room there. I mean, I like it as red, really, but at the minimum, it needs to be green. So then we get a little failed breakout. Again, I'd probably wait on the high or low. It doesn't confirm the trend line or anything. Maybe you just drawing it right there, so it's not confirmed or anything. So I don't think there's enough reason to take that other than it's a failed breakout, and you could probably count it as a second entry. So maybe you take that. I'd wait on the high or low, and you just really never get that opportunity. Takes off, breaks out. Then you're working sideways again. I don't see anything there to go long or short. It breaks out. See about the measured move. You see it went further than a measured move there and reverses. It actually pulls back to the open of this morning and then bounces higher. But I like going long on that one. It's just the first entry. You trading as a failed breakout. You'd be better off to wait on the high or low, and you never get that. And there's just not room to scalp out on any of these before it breaks out and goes higher. Then of course you get a close outside, new high, and then it's working lower again. Works itself all the way back down to here. You get a break, couple of swings to a new low, and you got two legs back to the trend line. And notice it's also, there's also confluence there where you have this morning's open, and we've already bounced there at least once. Turned down there a few times prior, so that's a good support resistance line, and I like going long there. That's another quick, easy move. You probably get more than in the scalp out of that if you went for a runner. Then of course there's another range here. I didn't draw this one, but it's here. I don't see any setups down here off the trend line, but you do get a 1, 2, 3 triple test here. I just don't like the signal bar. I don't think it's good enough. And so you really don't get a chance to enter anything there. We do get the close outside, and then we have we run to a new high. You really should draw this trend channel too. There's no close outside or new or anything, so I would just wait, and then you get a lower high, very bearish bar, If I'm going to enter, I'm going to go short right there. Runs on down. There's a second entry long there, but you can't go long. You're in a downtrend. But you do get a break. It tries to make a new low and makes a higher low. So I like going long there. It takes it a minute to work out, but it would have worked out if you entered there. I don't see a triple test here. It's just a bounce off the key entry point. But I don't think that's worth taking. I think it's too risky. It does take off and move up. Then we come back. First entry, pull back, and this creates a second entry. I don't like taking the second entry down here. I like taking it up here better. So hopefully we're prepared for that and just go long one tick above that. Nothing else here. This is all straight up until here. This is just a little two-legged pull back. I drew the channel there, but in the end, I think you just have to play the range here, which will look something like that. And you get this test down here right off the key entry point, right off the support of that. I like going long there, and this thing just kind of takes off. So I don't see anything I like here. You can't go long right into that resistance. Even though it ends up working, you just can't do it. Finally runs to a new high, and then we correct a little bit, and boom, we bounce right off the EMA and go higher again. There's no break and new low. I guess you could argue you got a close outside here, and you definitely got a new low there as well. So maybe you go long right there. I'm willing to give it a green. I'm not crazy about it being blue. That's just the first entry, and then here we are back at the highs again, ready to. Finally got a new high on the. We got a break down here, and we finally have a new high there. So. This is it right here. We actually made a little higher high than that one too. So not only we have a new high on the big two-tier channel, we have it on this tighter two-tier channel. So where were we? Right here, I believe. You do get a lower high here. It's too close to the EMA in my opinion. It's another possible green. And like I've said the last couple of days, you could probably always argue for another green or two in here. Sometimes, I just can't go over every swing unless it sticks out to me or there's something that needs saying about it. I can't talk about every swing. So you may have some greens in there that I don't note. So anyway, prices drop on down. It bounces right off the key entry point. That's a second entry long. I like that trade. We turn back down. I don't see anything here that I like. And then, of course, we're bouncing again. And then once again, off we go to the downside. You get a first entry, second entry, and then this is one little third move down, and there's a big bullish bar there. But I think it closes in the upper 1/3, but I think it's got too much stem there, and it's a relatively big bar. Well, 14 ticks. It's not as big as it looks, but I think I'd skip that trade. We run all the way up. I don't see any entries there. We get a break. First entry. It would be a second entry above that, but that's just too sideways, too congested. Same thing here. All that's congestion. And that takes us into 2:30. So it's kind of a quiet afternoon. After maybe 1 o'clock, I don't see much here. There's a possible short right here on the lower high, but even that, I think I would sit tight and wait. So there it is again. We'll back out and show you one more look at it. Two-tier channel working up. Close outside right here. Move to a new high. And then we had another break of the main channel here. Trend channel here. And then took off again. So really bullish day after looked like it was going to be a really bearish start, but turns out to be a really bullish day in the end, and prices just trend up all day. So anyway, there it is. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow, and again, tomorrow's going to wrap up our week for Thanksgiving, so it'll be a real short week. Wednesday will be the last trading day, and so I won't come in Thursday or Friday and take a long weekend. So Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.